Okay, so for this assignment, you have several exercises, but they're kind of variations of the same program. So this first exercise, you are going to create a structure with an enum member. And this is just like this movie example, but you're going to be having a music structure instead of a movie structure. Okay, so it's going to be very similar to the example. In fact, you're going to call it Fun with Music. And you're going to create an enum variable for genre. It's going to be, music genres. So you decide what, types of music you want, but they do need to be words without spaces. So kind of keep that in mind. So I like classic rock, alternative rock. So I just dropped rock off the end and I just put classic, alternative, that kind of stuff. Let's see, below the enum and above main, you are going to do a music structure and you're going to add the variables that I have listed. And then the genre enum is going to be, for your music genre. Then you will create a parameterized constructor and a display method, which is pretty much what is being done in here. And so it's almost identical. And then in the main method, you're going to create a variable to store structured data, prompt the user to enter the values for variables in the structure and store them. And then you're going to create the structure variable and pass the values. And you'll pass it using a parameterized constructor. So what does all that mean? That means in the main program, you are going to be prompting for the data that you want. Okay, and filling in the genre is going to be a little trickier. The video for the lecture actually goes through this, so please watch it. But once you've got everything filled in, then down here, you're going to create your structure variable, and you're going to be using that parameterized constructor to set all the values. Okay, and then you are going to print them out. Okay, so that's what this is telling you. Okay. Then you're not done with this yet. So this is just part one. Part two, you are going to copy the structure variable that you created in exercise one, and you're going to modify a few of its values. Okay, and so I do have an example that is similar to what you are going to do. So here you can see that I do have some set methods, which you are also going to have to create. And then here I've got my movie. And here I created a new movie and I copied the data from the original. So you're going to have to do something like that. Okay, and then there's some values that you're going to have to change using the set methods. Okay, so for this, you are going to create a set method for the title and the song length. So basically, if you are going to enter multiple songs from the same artist in the same album, what you would be changing is the title and the length. Okay, so those are the two set methods that you need. So at the bottom of the main method, you'll create a new structure variable called more music, and you're going to set it equal to your music structure, just like this. Okay. And then you're going to print out your first and the second song at the bottom of the main method. So here is kind of my sample run and what mine looked like. And then once you have it running correctly, make sure you've saved all your changes and you can push that to GitHub. Now, exercise 3, we're actually going to be using the Fun with Music code and making changes to it to create an array. So you're going to open up Fun with Music. You're going to copy all that code. Then you're going to create a new program, and you're going to call it Music Array. And you're going to paste that code into the program CS file. The parameterized constructor, you're going to either comment out or remove, because we are going to be using the default constructor, and we're going to be using set methods to set the data. And then you should already have a set method for the title and the length. So you just need to create set methods for artist, album, and genre. Then you're going to change your main method to prompt the user for the number of songs they want to add. So this will be at the top of the main method. And you'll basically, how many songs you want to enter. You'll read it in to a variable. And then you're going to create an empty array of structure variables using the size. Okay, so here we've got music structure. I'm calling it collection equals new. And then we got the music with the size they entered. And then we're going to create a for loop that will iterate through this array. Okay, and so we've got integer I equals 0, I is less than size, I plus plus. And then we're going to prompt them for the song title and use the set method to add the title to the array. So you should have these prompts already in your code, which is why I had you kind of use this as a base. And then once you've got the prompt, you can go ahead and add the line to, call set title. And you're going to do that for the title, the artist, the album, the song length, and the genre. So a lot of the write line code that you need is already there. Once you get done with that for loop, if there's any extra code in the main method, you can get rid of it. So at this point, you would have these two lines, and then you'd have this line where you're creating your collection, and then you're going to have a for loop where you're pretty much filling everything in. Okay. Then you're going to place the for loop inside a try block. So how that's going to look is here's your 3 lines. Here's your for loop, or the start of it, and you're going to put that inside a try block. Then below the try block, you're going to do 3 catch blocks. You're going to do an argument exception, a format exception, and just a generic exception. And we're using the exception object here to grab the message that the system generates, because the system's message is just as good as any message that we could generate. It's a little easier just to display theirs. Okay, so at this point, you have these lines. You've got a try block, and you've got 3 catch blocks. Below the catch blocks, you're going to do a finally block. And in the finally block, that is where you're going to be printing out the songs. So you're going to do a for loop that will iterate through your collection. And because we declared the collection array and the size above the try block, so we created those above the try block, you will be able to use them in the finally block. Okay, so you'll have a for loop, and inside the for loop, you just need 1 line of code, and that's it. It's the write line statement. Okay, and once you've got this program working correctly, save all your changes and push that up to GitHub. And if you cannot remember how to do the GitHub, I did include the link up here. Okay, so hopefully that will help you. The last exercise, This is very, very similar to example I have in the lecture demo, but you're going to create a new program called My Params. And it is almost identical to this program. In fact, you could use this as a starting point. And so what you need to do is the user is going to determine how many random integers they want to generate. So you are going to need to create an array to store the numbers. And right now, if you look at this example, there's 6 numbers, okay? And then there's a subset array that stores 3. The way that you are going to create this array is almost identical to what you did here. Okay, so that code is going to be almost the same as what you're going to have here. You need an add method and a multiply method. Each method should accept a params integer array. You're going to add code to each method that will loop through the array to either add values together or multiply the values. And then you're going to return the total to main. So your add array, if you copy this, you don't need to change the add array. Okay, it will work. You need to create a multiply array. Now, in the multiply array, you need to initialize the total to 1. Because if you initialize it to 0, what's going to happen down here? You're going to be pulling in different numbers. And remember, it's multiplication. If you start with 0 and you multiply something by 0, it is always 0. Okay, so make sure you initialize to 1. Otherwise, your total is always going to be 0. Okay, that is my helpful hint of the day. At the bottom of the main method, I want you to display the random numbers so we can see what they are. And then you're going to print the total from your add method, and you'll print the total from the multiply method. So here we've got a couple different subsets. You don't need to do that. You just need, one number array. And after you've called the add and you've called the multiply, you're going to do a little for loop. You could actually do a for each loop to print out the random numbers so we can see it. And then you're going to also print out what add returned and what multiply returned. That's what you need to do. Now, just to help you out, in case you guys get confused, I did give you some pseudocode. So it's very much like the program example. You create the random number, you prompt for the number of values to generate, you read in the number, you create your integer number array, you do a for loop to fill in the array. And when you fill in the array, you're filling it in with random numbers. And then you're going to do a for loop to print out the random numbers that are in the array. You'll do a write line to display the total from your add method and a write line to display the total from the product, or to display the product from the multiply method. Your add method will be identical to the example, and the multiply method is going to be very similar, but you have to initialize the total to 1. Okay, so I think that's pretty straightforward. But if you guys do run into problems, please let me know because I am here to help you. And hopefully this will all go very smoothly for all of you.